The colony on Verith 7 had warned Mira about the creche. They were predators, the settlement administrator had said, his face grave behind the flickering holoscreen. Territorial, dangerous, the kind of species that had torn through 3 survey teams before the Galactic Council declared their homeworld off-limits to unauthorized contact. But Mira hadn't come to Verith 7 for safety. She'd come because the forgotten edges of known space held answers that sterile lab environments never could. She'd come because someone had to document the species everyone else had written off as monsters. The jungle canopy above her filtered the system's twin suns into dancing patterns of emerald and gold. Mira's boots squelched through the mineral-rich mud, her scanner chirping softly as it catalogued the riot of alien flora surrounding her. She was 3 kilometers from her landing site when she heard it, a sound that stopped her cold. Whimpering. Mira's hand went to the pulse rifle at her hip, then hesitated. That wasn't the sound of a predator. That was the sound of something hurt, something young. She found them in a shallow ravine, half hidden beneath the twisted roots of what her scanner identified as a kelvara tree. 5 creche cubs, their bodies covered in the distinctive silver and black striped fur their species was known for. They couldn't have been more than a few weeks old. Their 6 legs were folded beneath them, and their double-pupilled eyes were wide with fear and hunger. No adults in sight. Mira's xenobiology training kicked in immediately. She scanned for injuries, for signs of disease, for any indication of why these cubs had been abandoned. The scanner's results made her stomach sink. Malnutrition, dehydration. They were dying. She should have called the colony, should have reported it and let the council's xenobiological team handle it. But the nearest council station was 8 days away by shuttle, and these cubs didn't have 8 hours. Mira knelt at the edge of the ravine. The cubs hissed at her approach, their needle-sharp teeth bared in tiny snarls that would have been intimidating if they weren't so obviously terrified. She remained still, keeping her movements slow and deliberate. "Hey," she whispered, her voice soft. "I know I'm not what you're used to, but I'm not going to hurt you." She reached into her pack and pulled out her ration bars, dense, nutrient-rich, designed to sustain humans through weeks of field work. They wouldn't be perfect for creche physiology, but her scanner indicated they'd be digestible. More importantly, they'd keep these cubs alive. Mira broke a bar into pieces and tossed one gently toward the nearest cub. It landed in the mud with a soft plop. The cub, smaller than the others with a distinctive white patch over one eye, crept forward, sniffing cautiously. Then it grabbed the piece and devoured it in 3 quick bites. The others surged forward. Mira spent the next hour feeding them piece by piece until her entire day's rations were gone. She gave them water from her canteen, watching as they lapped at it desperately. She scanned them again, relieved to see their vital signs stabilizing. The smallest cub, the one with the white patch, climbed out of the ravine and pressed against her leg. Mira felt the vibration of what might have been a purr, or maybe just the cub's rapid heartbeat. She reached down carefully and scratched behind its pointed ears. "You're going to be okay," she told them, though she wasn't sure if she believed it. As the suns began to set, painting the jungle in shades of crimson and violet, Mira activated her emergency beacon. The colony would send someone. They'd take the cubs somewhere safe, somewhere they could be cared for properly. She didn't want to leave, but she had to return to her landing site before full dark. The creche weren't the only predators on Verith 7. "I'll be back," she promised the cubs. The smallest one, she'd started thinking of him as Dran, after a word in the creche dialect that meant brave, watched her with those strange, double-pupilled eyes as she climbed out of the ravine. Dawn broke like liquid fire across Verith 7's horizon. Mira had barely slept, her mind replaying the image of those 5 small faces staring up at her. She'd contacted the colony overnight. A rescue team was being assembled, but it would take them until midday to reach the ravine. She packed a fresh load of rations and headed back, following her previous day's tracks through the jungle. But when she reached the ravine, she stopped dead. The cubs weren't alone. Surrounding them were dozens of creche, adults, their massive forms standing nearly 3 meters tall at the shoulder. their striped pelts gleaming in the morning light. Mira's hand went to her rifle, but she didn't draw it. Something in their posture wasn't aggressive. It was expectant. Dran saw her first. The small cub bounded forward, chirping excitedly, and placed something at her feet. It was a freshly caught prey animal, something that looked like a cross between a rabbit and a lizard still warm. Then another cub approached, then another. Each one carried something, a piece of fruit, a small creature, even pretty stones from the riverbed. They laid their offerings at her feet, one by one, until she was surrounded by a pile of gifts. The adult creche watched silently. One of them, the largest with scars crossing its muzzle, stepped forward. It lowered its massive head in what Mira's racing mind recognized as a gesture of respect. Her scanner translated the low rumble that emerged from its throat. "You fed our young when they were lost. You are Pack." Mira felt tears prickling her eyes. She knelt down, accepting Dran's gift with trembling hands. "Thank you," she whispered. The creche had a saying, she would later learn. A proverb that every cub was taught from the moment they could understand speech. The Pack is known by how it treats the smallest among them. Humanity had just passed a test they hadn't known they were taking, and in a galaxy that often saw humans as weak, as soft, as too emotional for the harsh realities of space, Mira had proven something far more important. She'd proven that sometimes the greatest strength wasn't in weapons or warships. It was in sharing a meal with someone who was hungry,